It took me 5 years living to learn what I'll teach you in 6 minutes. So I'll be honest right now, and I'll admit that my physique should be way more impressive than it is right now for 5 years, and especially since we see guys on the internet all the time with like natural transformations with or quote unquote natural transformations in way less time with more impressive physiques than me. But I'll admit that I made a lot of mistakes that I don't want you to make. So that's why I'm going to share them in this video. So I want to save you the time so you don't make the same mistakes I did. And so first off, I was probably like you, if you're like a beginner, advanced beginner, or like beginner intermediate. When you start going to the gym, you become addicted to the gym. You become like obsessed with content. You just start watching all these fitness influencers and content creators and stuff. And that's not a bad thing, but you realize that so many of these content creators just say so many different things. Some things are just contradictory to these other guys, and so you kind of become lost. Like, oh, this guy says train 6 days a week, do push pull legs, but this guy says like bro split, and this guy says eat this food, and this guy says don't do, like, it's a whole lot of contradictory things. And so that's what I find a lot of beginner bodybuilding guys, or people who are stuck that can't progress. They're always trying to switch because they're always trying to find the new study that just came out. They're always trying to see like, oh, but this content creator made a video saying this is the best chest exercise. Just like guys get so caught up on the little things that are important. There are two things that I want to share with you that I wish I would have just known, that these are the most important things that will actually help you progress in bodybuilding. And these are the things that, had I known from year one instead of year five, would have saved me so much time with my bodybuilding journey. And so, first is training to failure and just maximizing intensity. The mind needs more training than the muscle, and when it comes to training till failure, because most guys who are just starting off, who've never really been into like intensive exercise and just going into the gym to build muscle and look good, they probably, like, to be honest, do not have the mental fortitude to push beyond their physical limits. Like when we train a lot, especially a lot of beginners, they go like off of routines that say, oh, we'll do like 4 sets of 10 reps, 3 sets of 12 reps. If you're doing the exact same reps for multiple sets, you're probably not, I'll say you're most definitely not actually achieving failure, because no way each set is as intense, as maximum intensity as the other set. So you have to learn as a beginner, especially, how to actually push yourself. I think the easiest way to do that is obviously motivation, watching some cool, like, for me, it was like Tom Platz videos and like Ronnie Coleman videos before the gym, and get some pre workout in and really, really motivate yourself. But I think another easy thing that really helps with this is having a training partner who can actually spot you and motivate you and help with even like assisted reps so you can push past failure. But I think training to failure and training to maximum intensity is a thing that most guys don't know how to do, and they don't know how it feels until they're actually pushed there. Like for me, I remember this one time I was bench pressing like with some of my friends, and it was just like this, probably like year two of lifting, and it's like, oh, let's see how much we can bench, like 135, so like one plate on the bench press for like 20 kilos on each side, or like a 45 plate on each side. And so I go for like 20, and I'm like, all right, I'm done. And he's like, my friend's like, no, 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 go to failure. I'm like, what? But I can't lift it anymore. He's like, no, 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 go. And so I literally keep pushing, and then I find out I have way more reps in me than I thought, even though my mind had given up, said, oh no, there's no way I can do another rep. And then I actually felt what it was like to drop the bar and have to have someone actually pick it up. Like that for me, like, oh, I've been doing it wrong this whole time. And I wish that lesson had stuck with me, because I still continued after that like moment to not train till failure, which was a big mistake for me, and that's why my physique isn't as good as it should be within 5 years. But yeah, definitely learn how it feels to not be able to physically move the weight and then still try to push, and that's where the maximum intensity will come from, and that's where you build most of your muscle. And so my second major tip that would have saved me so much time in the gym that I wish I would have known, that took me 5 years to know, is focusing on the aesthetic muscles. And so when I say the aesthetic muscles, I'm referring to muscles of the body, of the male body, that look more attractive to women and also just more aesthetic, because that's actually what most guys want to do, is to get into the gym and build a more aesthetic body, whether they like to admit it or not. Most guys aren't walking into the gym to look like bodybuilders. Most guys aren't walking into the gym to look like someone like Sam, so just like massive, and so like we want to focus on the aesthetic muscles. And so I go into this very in depth into my aesthetic bodybuilding program, which is the top link in my description. But overall, the aesthetic muscles are, of course, the abs. Like number one would be the abs, and number two would be the neck and the upper trap, number three. And the rest would be like the biceps and the lats and the lateral delts, to just build that V taper. Like the top priority should be the V taper and those aesthetic muscles. The reason people are missing that is obviously they're hitting the muscles naturally, but there's some that they'll never train, like the neck. Like obviously people will go into the gym and do bicep curls, but they won't train their neck. They won't train their upper traps, and they'll have this very weird physique where their body looks muscular, but their collar, like when you can see them wearing like a t-shirt, it just looks mismatched. It doesn't look aesthetic. And there's other parts of the aesthetic body that people miss, and that's why they end up attracting like the male gaze. They go into the gym and say, "Oh, I went into the gym to get girls, but now only guys compliment me." It's because they have this like the bodybuilder build where they have these massive overdeveloped shoulders, like massive front deltoids, and just like massive triceps. When like obviously as a guy, we're like, oh, we look at that and like we look at a bodybuilder like, oh, that looks sick, like he has so much muscle, but it's actually not the most aesthetically pleasing to the eye. For most guys and these girls, like, oh, that looks too bulky. When people think of too bulky, they think of that. And like I said, that's no shame to bodybuilders or people who actually want to go into the gym to build mass and like maybe compete. But most guys don't want to do that. Most guys want the aesthetic body, and they need to focus on the aesthetic muscles. So again, if you actually want to learn fully in depth what the aesthetic muscles are and how to build the aesthetic body, my top link is in my description for the aesthetic bodybuilding program. But yeah, overall, those are the two things that I think most people are missing or not realizing, especially early on in their bodybuilding journey, which is training to maximum intensity, going all the way to failure, even going past failure, but even like learning how to get to failure in the first place and not just giving up. Because most guys just do those 3 by 12, 4 by 10, like exercise programs that I don't think are as effective in going to failure and measuring intensity. And of course, focusing on those aesthetic muscles, top link in the description.